one of our pastors in the past had once said, if you feel called to serve, go find out where people are doing great work and join them there. And I think that's brilliant advice, and advice that I've gave and I followed many times. So that really was my intention. My intention was to find at that point who was doing great work in the space of veteran homelessness, and write them a check or volunteer time or lend to them my business experience in some way. Check the box and say, well, Lord, I've done what you've asked me to do, and I'm going to go back over here and do what I want to do.
Welcome to your new podcast Optimum Ideation with the host and Bridges. Idea interviews. The best of human ideation. Everyone has a superpower. But times are hot, many are in the darkness of their own mind, in need of a helping hand. Helping others to become whole.
Our sponsoring brands:
Third-party people, NFT Fashion, TGC Fashion, MarkPoint.
Enjoy the show with today's guest.
All right, welcome everybody to the Optimum Ideation podcast. Our guest today is Mr. Drew Walston. He is the lead man over at Mighty Hero Homes, and he's on a great mission to attempt to tackle veteran homelessness and try and get that completed by his goal is 2031. And he is looking to help about 37,000 people by building 450 bases all over. And so we are here today to try and help him promote his message and get some more support for him from the audience. Mr. Drew, glad to have you today.
Such an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, sir. And Drew's got a little bit of a cold today, but we're going to power through. And we're just going to go right into questions with what is your story, your resume, and how did you get to here?
Well, to answer that question, I really start from here and I go backwards. Throughout my 37-year professional career, I had different viewpoints of what I was doing to either to gain security or gain wealth or to explore new things. But as I've come to this point in my life, I've realized that all of those experiences really were preparing me for this task. And this task is perhaps my purpose here on this earth.
Yeah.
So back at my corporate America experiences, my small business ownership experiences, and daily as I plan and we strategize and I lead the organization to be the answer to veteran homelessness, I draw on those occasions. So I'm thankful for all of those opportunities, the good, the bad, and the indifferent, because they have allowed me to be prepared for the many challenges of starting an organization that's trying to right a wrong that has existed for decades and has had billions of dollars thrown at it. Yet it still remains not only a challenge, it remains a stain on our country's history. So I'm honored that the Lord would use me and my skills and my talents and my experiences to do everything that I can to make sure that the men and women who fought for our country have an affordable, permanent place that they can call their home.
Yeah. It's definitely a beautiful mission, and it's one that needs a lot of attention. And having my business partners, going through all that they went through out there in the field to come back home and deal with all these troubles that we have at home and everything going on in the world today. It's just it's really kind of an upsetting thing to even think about.
Yes, sir.
What layers did you have to reveal to become who you are now?
Well, it really is just a stripping process to be used by the Lord in such a magnitude. It really required for me a personal transformation, and I'm honored to say that through this process, I'm a changed man. The Lord prepared me through Bible study, through relationships, through mentorships, years in advance. Again, thinking that it was perhaps for some other purpose, but clearly it was for this season of life. And when you do something that's this honorable but challenging, this exciting yet scary, you really, if you rely on yourself, you're gonna talk yourself out of doing this. So this
Yeah.
is a total dependence on doing what the Lord's called us to do, which requires completely stripping from myself any idea of pride or personal accomplishment. At housing 333,000 to 37,000 and a $7.2 billion overall budget, these are facts and numbers that far exceed my personal capacity to comprehend, which is also a beautiful thing, because when we do accomplish the mission through His provision, there'll be no other, no one can receive the credit for it. There'll be no human, there'll be no groups of people that can do it. We'll give all the praise and honor and the glory to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and 37,000 plus heroes will have benefited from our obedience.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Yeah. It's definitely the path to doing things bigger than yourself, and removing the ego is definitely Christ can get us on the right path there.
Yes, sir.
What is the next layer to remove?
Well, it's certainly is courage. Every single day we're being called to step out and do things that, while we have been prepared, we're also doing things that have never been done,
Right.
and things certainly that we've never done. And it's a matter of preparation for sure. It's absolute dependence on the Lord to provide, but also He's gifted us, and He's wired us, and He's created us in a way that's prepared us for this. And I am blessed to have an amazing group of people around me that are not just following my lead or my calling, but have been called to this themselves. And the passion that drives them has to, the job is too difficult and the challenge is too great to merely follow the lead of another person. So I'm so honored and so grateful to have such a wonderful staff. And the next level really is dependence upon one another, through what He's called us to do. But it's just having courage just to step out and do it. We're being as smart as we can about it. We're trying to learn. We're trying to understand what's been done in the past, what's worked, what hasn't worked. But we know we're also into green space or whiteboard, or however you want to describe it, because we're in uncharted territory. But we're going to take it one step at a time. While there is a lot of planning that needs to be done, we also know that every single day that we're meeting or strategizing or planning, we have men and women who are sleeping on the streets and sleeping in the woods and sleeping on from couch to couch, friend's house. So there is certainly a sense of urgency, and the courage to move forward and make decisions, even in the absence of feeling 100% confident that you know everything. My entire life, I've applied an 80-20 rule. When I'm 80% confident, I will generally proceed in that direction. My track record when I'm obedient to that's pretty good.
Good. Now, what trials and tribulations have you been through?
Oh, good grief. The greatest challenge is, as I mentioned earlier, is the learning. We certainly don't want to reinvent the wheel and things that have worked well. We want to maximize that and partner with people who are doing things that are very well. We also want to learn from what has not gone well and not replicate that. But the biggest challenge is fighting against mission creep, and my people hear that to the point where they don't want to hear it anymore. But we've got to make sure that we stay on mission. There's so many things that can be done. There's so many things that we might want to do. A lot of things that people want us to do or suggest that we do. But the beauty of our model is it is simplistic. This is a big challenging issue, but it is solvable. And we have what we believe is an efficient, simple, scalable solution building mighty hero home bases across the country, housing 84 veterans per base, reinstilling a sense of community in the lives of our servicemen and women who have had a tough time, and for whatever reason they need some help. But we've got to make sure that we stay on task so that we can learn from what we'll learn. We'll make some mistakes, on each base that we construct. I'm sure of that, but the next one will be better as a result of it. But we've got to make sure that we stay on mission, that we stay on task, and then we just continually going back to being obedient to what we've been called to do. And I give my folks, and our director of chaplaincy services, he's my number one gentleman that I rely on. I said, if we ever get out in front of ourselves, if this ever becomes about us, if this ever becomes about growing a business or something of that nature, please keep us in check, because our focus has to remain on the fact that we've got servicemen and women who need a home, and they're depending on us to do what we've been called to do and we've been gifted to do. So that's the number one challenge, and to any young organization or growing organization, is to remain on task and to prevent mission creep.
Yeah, I think there's some good lessons there. I mean, we don't, or I don't know any lasting companies that are building something that didn't have a mission bigger than themselves. And so, there's a lot of people that like to just be about them, but it's not going to be a lasting thing. The point of building a company is to help people. There's a focus, there's a reason for doing this thing that we're doing, and it's bigger than yourself. And you got to keep that away from your ego as far as you can, or it'll destroy you.
That's right.
When did you become passionate about this focus?
Actually, this goes back to about four years ago when I initially felt led by the Lord to do something in this arena, and spoke to my heart and said, Drew, I'm going to utilize you to eradicate veteran homelessness in the United States. And having not been a veteran and having never been homeless, and at the time not knowing a homeless veteran, I'm ashamed to say that I spent the better part of a year ignoring the call, trying to convince him that he'd called the wrong person, trying to negotiate with him some way, an easy way out. And then almost a year to the date, I surrendered and said, Lord, I understand you're not letting us go. And I'll do what you've asked me to do. But I said that a little bit with a one foot in the door and one out. What I meant at the time was one of our pastors in the past had once said, if you feel called to serve, go find out where people are doing great work and join them there. And I think that's brilliant advice, and advice that I've gave and I followed many times. So that really was my intention. My intention was to find at that point who was doing great work in the space of veteran homelessness, and write them a check or volunteer time or lend to them my business experience in some way. Check the box and say, well, Lord, I've done what you've asked me to do, and I'm going to go back over here and do what I want to do. As I began to do the research, not only did it take me a nanosecond to realize that veteran homelessness in the United States is so egregious, but I also, and this is no disrespect to the many fine organizations that are doing work out there, but I couldn't find a single organization that I could put my finger on to say, this organization is on the path, or it has the trajectory to end, eradicate, stop veteran homelessness in the United States, regardless of their size or what they had accomplished. I looked at companies that had the capacity to grow, and or organizations the capacity to grow, and be scalable. And quite frankly, I could not find a single organization that fit that bill. And it was at that time that the Lord showed me that I was being called to create that organization, and gave me just tremendous insight on the base concept. Now, in my prior business, we did a lot of business with the military, so I've spent a lot of time on bases. I've had the opportunities to deal directly with and do business directly with our servicemen and women. So no doubt that was the foundation of that the Lord had planted in my heart to understand what an obligation we have to these folks.
Yeah.
The scalability and finishing the job. People have asked, why not just do a couple, or why is your goal so large? And it's quite frankly, is why wouldn't they be? If we have a process that works, and we have a process that's good, let's make it be good and work for everyone. So that's certainly our heart's desire, is to hand over the final key to the last homeless veteran, and then we'll see what the Lord wants to do with us from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Finding more people doing this is definitely going to be helpful, because man, it's such a large task, and there's so many different people that need help. And so I was speaking with you about it a while back, and I'm going to introduce you to my buddy that I just interviewed over here on a previous podcast. And maybe that way, y'all's minds are on the same path. Maybe y'all can work together or give some pointers or something, and that way the mission can get completed. His target's 2030, it's the same timeline. So it just rings those bells for me.
Good. Well, anyone that's doing any good in this space, not only do we want to help them be successful, and we see them as partners and allies and resources. As I mentioned earlier, there's no ego in this.
Yeah.
So the motive is not to build a company and sell it. And the motive is to firstly be obedient and do what we've been called and gifted to do. And then the outcome of that is going to be, we believe, if you'd asked me years ago, Drew, what's the win? What are you after? Having limited knowledge at that time, the answer would have been, well, when we hand over the last key to the last homeless veteran, we can check the box and say we were successful. That's really changed dramatically over time. That the true win and the true benefit of what we're doing, in my mind, is when we bring in 84 veterans per base, and excuse me, and they become healthy and they become reintegrated into the society. Many of these folks that are living under bridges in the woods once had the keys to $1 million pieces of equipment, held the lives of men and women in their own hands, highly skilled, highly dedicated, highly patriotic, highly educated, that had just had either made a bad decision or had a bad break or something that was completely not in the scope of what they could manage or handle happened to them. But when we get them healthy again and we get them operating in their full capacity, the areas or the cities and communities where Mighty Hero home bases are built, I believe, will be transformed for generations to come. The cities and the counties and the areas where these bases are built will be the true beneficiaries for having these amazing men and women who now not only do they have what it takes to lead and to be valuable citizens, but now coming out of a situation that they overcame will empower them just to be such dynamic influences in our communities, and that truly is the win. We've added a little bit to that of late as we've thought about a veteran who goes through that process, then becomes a helper themselves, and they begin to go help other veterans. So through our canine training facility that'll be on each base, our canine training partners placed 3,800 dogs in the past 10 years, and believes that they could place 10,000 right now if they had them, but they just don't have the training capacity. There's dogs out there. There's shelters full of dogs that we can rescue and use as companion dogs and service dogs. But as we certify our base residents, not only from their own therapy standpoint and their own assistance, but as we train them and certify them as certified companion and canine training dogs, will be a force multiplier in this country to be able to get every serviceman and women, and then beyond that, even just non-veteran citizens that need a companion dog or service dog. So that's just one of the elements of veterans being able to give back to the community when they're healthy, which we think is just going to be an outpouring of our success of providing them a place to live.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing I read was that you're going to try and do like a farm or something in there. And so that's why I tied in that we discussed kind of this food forest that I sent you that link on. That may be a perfect pairing for what you're trying to do, because they're actually they have another kind of side program. Basically, it can have all your herbs, all your vegetables, fruits, teas, mushrooms, all kinds of different things, all kind of self-sustaining in a sense. Of course, you have to look over it a little bit, but they'll come in and design the whole thing for you, and
Absolutely. Look forward to meeting this gentleman, and we do have
yeah,
several that we're talking to. But commercial gardening is from the very beginning has been a hallmark for
yeah,
the base. Not only is it therapeutic to garden,
right,
new skills. There's an income earning opportunity for our veterans to be able to sell those vegetables.
exactly,
But more than anything else, it's just yet another layer of community engagement.
yeah,
So as veterans interact with the restaurants in the area and the citizens in the
right,
area, and the citizens rely on the base, whether it be hydroponics or seedlings or what have you.
right.
Just that integration we think is going to be very, very powerful.
Yeah. They also have like a community teaching type program to where people would come in and have kombucha bars and all kinds of stuff, that they could teach the local communities. So that's why I was like, man, this will be a great pairing for you.
Amen. Yeah, look forward to meeting you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna make that introduction for you. Let's see. Now, who were the greatest contributors to your character?
Boy, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm actually I'm honored to sound like a broken record. But Jesus Christ certainly is my greatest influence in my life. Excuse me. I was blessed to be born to a household of Christ-fearing, loving parents who helped guide me and train me throughout my life. I'm be forever indebted to them. Had amazing coaches. I played ball throughout my childhood and then through college. Had amazing coaches that were tremendous influencers, many of whom I remain in contact with today. So thankful for the lessons that they taught me
Yeah,
on the field and off the field, more so than any other place, about how to handle victory and how to overcome defeat.
yeah,
And those are life lessons that have stayed with me throughout. My wife is certainly my rock, my best friend, my greatest cheerleader. And while she may not know everything that goes on either in a business that I run or even that she knows me, and she's a great sounding board. So when she knows I'm not convicted about it, she'll let me know. But if she knows that my heart and my passions in it, there's nobody that can encourage me like she can. And it's friends and family and others. It's truly, I've been blessed to have a lot of wonderful people around me who have invested in me, and I certainly have tried to give back in similar manners. And but this is certainly an opportunity to do so.
good, good. Now, when you first started in this journey, what's something more challenging than you had expected?
Uh, boy, um, certainly the scope of it, but quite frankly, um, it's the hurdles that a new nonprofit has to endure and overcome in order to receive assistance. And I understand the reason why. I understand why organizations only want to fund the last 25% of a project, or that a foundation wants a nonprofit to be in business for 3 years and have things. I understand that, and I don't dispute that their logic for doing so. But it absolutely is a chicken or the egg scenario for a new nonprofit that's has a good plan, has good leadership, and I don't mean that reflected on me, but for my team. It has been surprising that more organizations, they all love what we're doing, and they all are very supportive of what we're doing, and they all invite me back at a certain time when certain things are done. So I've realized that that's just not going to be our path. We can't wait that long. Because the more that we wait, the more that the people that we're trying to serve are unserved. So we are about to embark on what we know, feel we know is an unprecedented campaign to mobilize the American patriot to, one, understand the problem that exists, and two, understand a functional, foundational, very easy way for them to participate. And by doing so, we know we've got to mobilize our churches. The Bible tells us in Isaiah that we're to feed the hunger and we're to provide shelter for the wanderer. We need to educate our students. Many of our students don't have a firm foundation of what a veteran is, and certainly don't have a grasp of the homelessness crisis in our country. And we believe that our students will be a big part of raising the capital to house our homeless veterans. There are a number of groups that are very veteran-centric, golfers and Harley riders and bikers and hunters, that we're going to also seek to mobilize, so that at the end of the day, not only are we able to operate from a perspective that everything we bring in goes directly to the cause, but we involve the American people, the American patriot, in being a part of the solution. For every donor and under this program that provides resources, their name is going to be inscripted on the walls of our community center on each base. And we're seeking 1 million American people to say, I'm going to be a part of this solution. So 1 million divided by the number of bases we're going to build, we'll average about 2,200 names per community center. So when a veteran, a new base resident walks into a community center for the first time, their host is going to be able to point their attention to the names that are on the walls, thousands of names on the wall, and be able to point out, these are the names of the people who didn't forget you, who loved you, and who gave of their personal resources for you to be here. This is not a government. This is not a government problem. It's not a government solution. This is not an organization problem. It's not an organization solution. We are indebted to the men and women who sacrificed, and not all of them went to battle. And I've heard that pushback. Not all of them were in harm's way, but every single one of them sacrificed holidays and seeing their family and seeing babies being born, not being able to go home and bury their friends or their family. So the sacrifices that immediately come to mind of being shot at or wounded or something of that nature, that's just a component. We as a people owe the people who have fought and defended, so that we have the right for you and I to have this conversation today, and for you and I to go home this afternoon to our house and to our homes. So I believe that through our campaign, we will be able to educate, we will be able to communicate an effective solution, a scalable, effective solution, and then we're going to unapologetically ask the American patriot, the American population, to join us in giving a donation that's going to help us complete the mission.
Very good. Now, what's your best piece of advice for an audience that truly wants to better themselves or others in this lifetime?
Oh boy, I'm not good at giving advice. When I do give advice, I merely just tell people what I would do if I were in their situation. So I guess I'll default to that. And it goes back to our earlier discussion of really just stripping ourselves from selfish desires and selfish ambitions, and that can be defined in a lot of different ways. But for me, it is being thankful for what the Lord has given me, using the tools and the skills that He's given me, not for my purpose, because any purpose I have is temporary. And we're not a quote faith-based organization by definition, and we're not gonna beat our residents over the head with the Bible as they walk on base, but we do want to live out our faith, and we want to show through our actions and through our love for our neighbor that we do have a purpose bigger than the temporal, the now. So hopefully those who don't have a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ, that they will come to a point of being interested in why we have the hope that we have, what motivates us to do the good that we're seeking to do, and that will give us an opportunity to share our faith. And that's all we do. The Lord does the rest, but we get the opportunity to plant the seed. So it truly is, get over yourself and get ready to do something for somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. What practices or techniques throughout your day or week make it a success?
Boy, if you ask my wife, she would say I'm on the OCD spectrum. So organization is certainly not something I struggle with, but the volume of activity for us right now is so great. For me personally, it is absolutely trusting the people that's on our team and either delegating or empowering them to do what the Lord's called them to do. Now it's my job to make sure we remain on task and that we resist mission creep. But if I sought to have my hands on every single thing that we're going on, we would move very slowly and not be successful. So it's one is identifying the need to bring on people when it's time to do so. It's making sure we bring on the right people. And I've hired thousands of people throughout my career, and no matter how good your interview process is, you hire some good ones and you hire some not so good ones. But I'm absolutely just blown away by the people who have. And this whole process has been so different, but I'm so grateful for the people the Lord has led to Mighty Hero Homes and instilled in their own heart. Even before they even knew what they were being called to do, they were being called, and I was just the answer to what the Lord was calling them to do. So it's certainly delegating is critical. Being efficient, and again, just not trying to be everything to every person and staying on task. I've said that 12 times here on this call. So imagine how many times I say it in a given day. But that really is going to be a key of our success, is being focused on our mission, and I think that's our pathway to success.
Very good. Now we're kind of wrapping up here. We've kind of spoke about the business. Do you have any events or maybe a book, product, service, or invention that we can help you promote to the audience?
Absolutely. We got several upcoming events. The best way is to go to our website, www.mightyherohomes.org. Get an update on all our current events. But we are having an event in Carrollton, Georgia, sponsored by our construction partner, Rayland Construction, on June the 16th. It's a barbecue competition. We've got great sponsors there. We will unveil the excuse me, the components of a Mighty Hero Home house engineering behind the Mighty Hero Home house. It'll be illustrated through completion of the structural insulated panels, be an overview of many of the components that we'll be using. So it'll be a great opportunity for people to kind of kick the tires and understand what we're doing for our veterans. So that's on June 16th in Carrollton, Georgia. We have a great golf tournament that's being sponsored by Van Jakes from the NFL on July the 26th at the Eagles Landing Country Club here in Stockbridge, Georgia. It's going to be a fundraising event, and we're really looking for a great turnout there. We are also blessed to be a part of NASCAR's 75 Days of Giving in May, so in celebration of their 75-year anniversary. NASCAR has selected a number of nonprofit organizations that are doing good in the community and giving us an opportunity, giving us a platform for us to share with NASCAR fans all over the country who we are and what we're doing, and if it resonates with them, for them to be able to provide donations and contributions for us. So that information also will be listed on our website and our social media sites. And we have several others that are upcoming. But again, our Facebook page, our LinkedIn pages, Mighty Hero Homes, and then of course our website are great places to get the up-to-the-date minute on opportunities to participate, opportunities to serve, and opportunities to be a part of what we're doing.
Very good. Yeah, so if anybody wants to donate or get in contact with Mr. Drew, let's go to the website and get involved. What is the best way for the audience to support and get in contact with you if they want to reach out and maybe lend you a hand?
Okay, great. A good email address if someone has a question or has a suggestion or has something that they want to share with us is info@mightyherohomes.org. That's Mighty Hero Homes with an S.org. Feel free to reach me directly as well. It's drew.walston@mightyherohomes.org. But what we are truly, truly looking for is for us to be successful in our upcoming campaign. I don't like just to use the word viral because that means different things to different people. We've got to mobilize 1 million American patriots. We begin to kind of talk about it as we're going to give people an opportunity to be 1 in a million. We all want to be 1 in a million. We're going to give the opportunity to do that. And by being 1 in a million, you know that your name is going to be written down in history as being a part of resolving and solving one of the greatest travesties in the history of our country. And that is that our men and women who fought for our country, served our country, don't have a permanent address. So to get involved, that's certainly a way. More information about our campaign will be forthcoming, but certainly stay in touch with us and be prepared to give. But we're going to ask people to do something very simple, like get a small coffee for 100 days as opposed to a large coffee, and then be able to utilize those resources to help men and women affordable permanent homes. But more information to follow on the campaign, but that's certainly the easiest and the most dynamic way to support what we're doing right now.
Very good, Mr. Drew. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put all this contact information in the video for you, and that way, as it's shared, it's all right there and help promote and hopefully catch the right attention for you.
I'm sure appreciate it. I'm so grateful, and again, I apologize for my head cold or whatever it is. This was important, and I wanted to make sure we kept our schedule. And I'm grateful for you, and apologize to the audience if it's hard to understand at times. But thank you so much. And we hope that the right people hear the message.
Thank you, Mr. Drew.
After 40 people production.